So welcome to our meetup at DigitalOcean tonight. I'm Tyler Crandall. I'll give you just a brief rundown of our agenda for the night. So I'm just going to give a quick intro about myself first, and then our guests that are going to be speaking. We have Golotyuk from .io as a CTO that's going to be telling us a little bit about their infrastructure on DigitalOcean. Sekou is also running a project with us, and he'll tell us a little bit more after we get through .io. So I'll just start off with quickly, I manage customer success at DigitalOcean. What that means for us and what my team does is we work exclusively and specifically with fast-growing companies, startups, larger scale organizations that are using our platform. We get to do a lot of things like technical consultations and help people best understand how to scale and to deploy their applications and their server architecture. So a few months back, we did an initiative to work with some of these companies on case studies and learn a little bit more so they could share with the community what they're doing. Well, there was one user in particular, one company, who was way ahead of the game and actually reached out to us to let us know that they had written up a case study on what they were doing on DigitalOcean. That was .io. So we're happy to have them here to tell us a little bit more. And after we go through their presentation, like I said, we'll hear from Sekou, and then we'll open it up to anyone here if they're running any projects with us that'd be willing to share more about what they're doing with us. So let's give a warm welcome to Den to tell us more about .io.
Hi guys. Hello. Okay, that's okay. My name is Dan. I'm here with my partner Sergey. We are from Ukraine. Ukraine is a small country. Well, I guess you heard about it. So we are building a startup. A great thanks to Nancy. A great thanks to DigitalOcean guys. We would love to share our experience. I don't think it's very unique. And most of the presentation is, like engineering stuff, but nothing magical, okay. So it isn't working anymore. Nancy, you helped me last time, please help me this time. Okay, thank you. How you do? Okay. So we process 1 billion requests per day. So what we do is gather some data from like 50 million users daily. We have about 100 DigitalOcean nodes, droplets. Okay. So what we do, what kind of business we do? There are many analytical platforms on the market, like Google Analytics, Adobe Omniture, Mixpanel, Kissmetrics, Chartbeat, so on, so on, so on. These are cool tools. They are very powerful tools. But they have this stuff like events, custom variables, queries, universal IDs. So all of this stuff requires some experience from the client side, some knowledge, analysts, some engineering work. So this is for advanced guys. What we saw about is like smaller guys, smaller businesses. So our average client is like, hey guys, I've created a website. Why nobody visits it? So our clients can't ask the question like, how do I calculate the ROI of my business? They just don't know what the ROI is. So we are oriented on these clients. We're challenging the analytical business from the other side, from the side of the guys who just don't know what analytics is. So we are not building an analytical platform. We just gather some data from some places, compile it into simple reports, and show these reports to our clients. We have one feature. We do not require our clients to integrate anything to anywhere. So we do it, all of the stuff on our side. We highlight some important stuff that can be interesting for our clients. Well, I show you some examples. This is one of our reports that we prepared for this is one of our publisher clients. So we just show very simple stuff. For each article, we show like amount of page views, amount of likes from Facebook, amount of social comments, amount of shares, and share ratio. Share ratio is a simple figure. It just shows this sum of these figures that are divided by this figure And you can see in the last row, you can see highlighted share ratio like 58%. It tells our client that this article is getting much more shares, much more social interaction than the other articles. It might be posted or maybe boosted in Facebook. Well, this is just also a very simple report. So here we just highlight some, we show the performance of the news that are based on the homepage. You know, many publishing sites have a homepage where they post some selected news like most interesting news. So how do they choose it? They choose it randomly. You know, we know our clients, they really choose it randomly. So we show the performance of the news. You can see that one news item gathers like the average amount of impressions, but very low amount of the clicks. It has very low click-through rate. So our client will remove this article from the homepage based on this figure. And all our business is about these very simple tables. So we just gather some data, compile it, and show it to our clients. So here comes the engineering stuff. It will be like, I don't know, 15 slides. Maybe I will try to get through it very quickly. So this is how our architecture is looking. So we gather data from many sources. We get the data, process, transform, store, optimize it, and generate the reports that we show to our clients. We process, as I said before, 1 billion requests daily. That's about 2 terabytes of data daily. We have like 100 nodes on DigitalOcean, maybe, I don't know, plus minus 5 droplets. So our average is about 15 reports per our client. We have 250 customers right now. So we started this stuff like 9 or 10 months ago. So what was our requirements, how we choose the platform? Okay, the first requirement was the platform should be change-oriented. We have built internet business already, and we know that everything can be changed, can require a change. So it should be something really simple that can be changed at any time. We require the platform that can provide us the huge growth-oriented infrastructure, because we had several days last summer during which we grew twice every day. We don't have administrators in our team. In fact, we have only 3 engineers right now. So all of our engineers know how to do installations of new services on the droplets and configuring and restarting the services. That's all about our administration. We doesn't have anything more complex than that. We required microservices-oriented infrastructure, so we build our system from scratch based on not a monolithic large server, but on many small servers. And you know, the most important was the infrastructure should be really simple. Have anybody seen the Amazon Management Console here? It has like, I don't know, 4,000 buttons on 2 screens. So you need a book to use it. So we just didn't have time for that. So we need a simple interface with like 2 buttons, create, remove. That's all we need. So we started from a $5 node. This was our architecture for, I don't know, last sprint maybe. Only 1 node. So we collected some data and showed it to some of our clients. The first rule that we're using in our team and in our scaling strategy, resize in DigitalOcean is really cool feature, but you shouldn't do it. You should add nodes instead of resize, because when you resize them, you will reach the limit anyway. Anyway, you will reach it. So we started building the scalable infrastructure right on the 2nd day. So we didn't want to do it in a year. So this is how our infrastructure looked like maybe in several weeks. We had the front ends. It's called, in all the representation, it's called the bulk servers. We had the storage servers. It was called like shard servers, I guess. And we had a simple, the same $5 node that retrieved some data from our storage service and showed it to the client. The next issue that we faced working with DigitalOcean, in fact, it might be a single issue that we faced. It was the network. DigitalOcean limits your bandwidth. So we moved our CDN servers out of DigitalOcean. We have hardware in Europe, in USA, and in Russia, because we have large clients from Russia. Wow. And Russia requires by law that you should have your servers inside Russia. That's crazy stuff, but okay. So we just have the hardware, the simple hardware that we use as CDN, bidirectional CDN. So we gather the data through the servers, and we serve the data through the servers. So Edison Rest is running on DigitalOcean. We do hot backups. We do not do failover. It might sound crazy, but you know, DigitalOcean has impressive stability. We faced like, I don't know, several issues, maybe 3, maybe 4, and it was really fast recoverable issues. We do hot backups. We don't use the feature of this, creating the snapshots for backups, because you have to turn off your droplet. We can do it. It has to be on. So we just backing up with tools like Extra Backup that allows you to backup while the MySQL and other services are running. And we use the extended file storage out of DigitalOcean infrastructure. But DigitalOcean will have like a service that is called block storage in the nearest future, and we are waiting for it. So maybe it will, and maybe it will be integrated again. Special nodes. So this is the core of our strategy. One node, one function. So we have come to the understanding that $20 node is the best, because you know, on the $5 droplet, the operating system is consuming like, I don't know, 30% of resources. So it's really cool for development nodes and really cool for prototyping nodes. But in production, most of our nodes are $20. So this is how our architecture looks in more realistic way. So we have dictionary servers, storage servers, Facebook. This is several nodes that integrates into Facebook API and gathers data continuously from Facebook. The same node that does the same stuff for Twitter, the notifications, droplet, and so on. We have like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 unique configuration nodes. This is the approach that we use in communication between the nodes. So all our communication between all our nodes is based on asynchronous communication. We use queues, but we don't use like stuff like German or RabbitMQ, because, well, I don't know why, but it seems complex to us. So we use just files. We use Nginx to upload files to the nodes. But it allows us to use the rewindable log file quiz approach. If we failed something, for example, well, I don't know, just a bug in the development. If we failed something, we lost some data, we always have a chance just to do the rewind, just to resend the data from the previous droplet to the next droplet. The network is also the question when you're using the DigitalOcean infrastructure, because it's limited. You know, you have one terabyte per $5 droplet, yes? So the communication between all of our droplets and our DigitalOcean droplets and external servers is compressed. And we gained like 14 times economy when we just zipped all our text communication protocol. We use several regions on DigitalOcean because, well, well, I don't know, it was the news for us, but you can exhaust out of droplet in one region maybe temporarily, but you can exhaust. So we built all our infrastructure on internet-based communication. So we have our droplets in different regions that are communicating. But we also have the droplets that are communicating one with each other through the local network in one region. So it's kind of hybrid communication as well. We use SSL-only communication. We use whitelists. Well, security is a really big concern, especially when you're building the data startup. We use the simplest approach. If nobody can see you, nobody can attack you. So we use the whitelists for all of our nodes. If you are not in the IP address that is listed in our whitelist, you just can't connect, you can't send anything to this droplet, anything. Alloconf is the file that is included in all our Nginx configurations. It looks like, well, pretty simple. Just allow some IP addresses and deny everything else. We don't use snapshots to create or scale when we're required to add some droplets. We use setup simple bash script. Well, why is that? Because we have really frequent changes in our configurations. So at some point of time, we used snapshots to create new droplets, but at some point of time, we faced the problem that we were recreating snapshots several times a day. So right now, we just have a simple, very simple setup script that looks like, well, apt-get, update, apt-get, install some services, and Nginx restart. We can change this file, and the configuration is changed everywhere on our current droplets. This is the last slide, I guess. We use the aggregated monitoring. When you have like 100 nodes and 3 guys to do the engineering, it's really a big challenge to monitor it. So we have only 4 metrics in all our monitoring that we are using. And the main metric is named criticals. It shows us if we have some troubles. In fact, this was today, so. Yes, but we fixed it really quickly. None of our clients seen these problems because it's holidays in Ukraine. Yes, right now. Yeah. But we use the parent metric approach. So when we have a problem, we see the problem and we can drill down this metric to know which node is having a problem and which problem has occurred. So we have big screens in our office, all over the office, that shows only these four metrics, nothing else. And this feature in DigitalOcean, well, I guess we are one of several guys that's seen that it has pager. You know you're big client of DigitalOcean when you see that pager. So, so this is my okay, last slide. Yes. So thank you guys. Maybe if you have questions, I would love to answer.
I have a question.
Sure.
When DigitalOcean does release the block storage feature, how do you plan to make use of that?
We would really love to transfer our external storage to that because we just use the simple approach in our work. The less technologies you use, the better. So sometimes economy of $2 per month, I don't know, by using some other resources requires you to reset up something to know more. So we will absolutely integrate it if it'll cost. If it'll cost like your dropless costs, so it's okay. Yes, sure.
How did you hear about DigitalOcean? If you don't mind me asking.
How did we hear about DigitalOcean? I don't remember. I guess somebody told me. I don't know. Really, I don't know. I don't know. Somebody told me. Some webmaster, I guess. It was like 1.5 years ago. But I wasn't, like searching in Google for, please give me some simple and cheap infrastructure to use. It wasn't like that. Sure.
Why DigitalOcean?
Can you tell me how much will you pay to Amazon before you start using it? And as I said before, Amazon, Google, and, well, Jesus, Microsoft, it is really very complex, both in terms of use and both in terms of pricing. You just can't predict how much will you pay. You know, Google has a really powerful and cool solution for table storage. It's called BigQuery. In order to calculate the amount of money you will send to Google, you need to know how many rows are being processed when you querying it. Well, I don't know. How can you use it? How? It's unrealistic. So we choose DigitalOcean because of simplicity. Simplicity is absolutely the most important requirement if you are dynamic. Absolutely, yeah.
Dan,
Yeah.
Heroku also is fairly simple.
Yeah, it might be. We just, you know, somebody just told me about DigitalOcean first time. we just didn't look at Heroku. Well, I don't know. Well, if you're building something brilliant, you can't be the only one. So it's. We also have competitors. So, well, when you're first, you're cool. Okay. Yeah.
You said that a lot of the analytics that you're developing are very simple for like the middle to smaller companies. So how? And you said that you separate your nodes and your functions into almost like a function per node kind of a model.
Yeah.
When you plan to, let's imagine you're planning to implement a new feature, are you based on the number of clients you have today, are you using all these nodes so you can implement the feature in that node, you have to launch a new one, or most of these nodes are not actually being used to the full potential, so basically you're leaving space to maybe add some like hour tracking or analytics data or something like that, and now you're not doing, for example.
Okay. So yeah, our nodes are loaded at, I don't know, like 10%. So we have a huge, how it's called in English. Well, our load can increase by 10 times, and right now we do not have to add any new droplets. So we have, like, you know, maybe it will be at night and we are not in the office. When we implement a new feature, in 99% of the cases, we just deploy a new droplet, install development environment there, only the services that are needed for the new feature, and integrate it using the API, so this Nginx asynchronous requests. So we try to isolate every function as much as possible. In fact, we are funded company, so we are not really, we are not really in the question about how to reduce our costs by $7. We are every day we are about the question how to do it in the simple way, because we have really huge amounts of data and huge amounts of ideas in our brains, and only 3 people. And you know, when you have like 50 people, you can't move very quickly. You have to communicate. So we would like to have this small amount of people as long as possible, because it helps us be dynamic. So yes, new feature is the new droplet, but we have some potential on the current droplets as well. Okay, I guess that's it. Okay, so thank you guys. Thank you.
So, okay, well, my app that I built for iOS is called Poster Chat. Basically, it's like kind of like Snapchat in a way, where you can send a picture and you can share it with your friends or publicly. But the catch is that they have to guess the answer to the question that the sender sends. So I just made this question. Okay, that's better. So I just created this question. And the question is, who's the DigitalOcean shark? It's Sammy, but I actually put in the wrong question for it, the wrong answer. It's going to show as correct, but oh, never mind, it's wrong. So if you get the wrong answer, right, you will never see the picture. But if you get it right, you'll see the picture. And also, this app has a chat feature. So if I go in, and if my friend's online, I could say hello. And my friend can reply back. And that's pretty much my app. And you can see what you send to the people who viewed you. You can see who got the question right and wrong. And yeah, that's my app. Oops.
Do you have any questions?
Yep. Yeah, my app isn't as fancy as .io's, but you know. But it's simple. I use DigitalOcean because it's fast. My API calls are pretty fast. It's simple pricing, and it's and cheap. Questions?
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you talk about any of the technologies you're using on the back end at all?
Just a simple LAMP stack and just PHP scripts. Nothing too fancy. Yep.
What was is this just like a project that you're working on for fun, or just?
Yeah, for fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Nothing.
What's the recording feature down at the bottom? What is that?
That's QuickTime.
Sorry?
QuickTime.
Oh.
Yeah. It's what I kind of use when I make my the preview videos for iTunes Connect, but they never approve any of my videos, so. Yep.
Is that Android?
Huh?
Is that Android version?
No. And it will never be.
Some of us for it.
I don't know, but Android's a little too difficult for me to build anything off of it. Yep. Yep.
Yep. Hi. So, how are you dealing with? I mean, just obviously you have a picture kind of being sent to a server, right? Where you can share that with other users, and you also have the chat function. How are you using the basically your nodes or the infrastructure to balance all of that, the back end? Or it's just kind of like, oh, it gets stored, and then you just delete that, or you're maintaining it as you just kind of keep it for a particular amount of time?
Well, the pictures, unless somebody deletes them themselves on the app, there's a cron job that deletes them at midnight every night.
You,
Yep.
so
No, I just basically use the LAMP stack. I went on DigitalOcean and I found a tutorial how to set up Apache and MySQL and.
Just manually configuring
Yep.
all that.
Yep. Somebody had a question over here?
Yeah, I was wondering, so you said that you have a cron job that deletes it at a certain time,
Right.
picture? So if I'm loading my picture up at that time, would it pretty much disappear pretty quickly right after that? How does that work?
It will delete at 12 o'clock every night on the dot.
Okay, so if I send it like at 11:58, it's gone in 2 minutes.
No, it's from 24 hours after.
Oh, okay, it's 24 hours after.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like you can see here that it's like stuff like I sent like 26 hours ago, 20 hours ago, and it will show you, it will tell you that it will delete 4 hours, but it's going to actually delete 12 o'clock at night.
Okay. Very cool.
Any other questions? Good.
Yeah, so I don't give talks often, but my name's Ashish. I'm a developer at SoulCycle and just do some client project works on the side. So I'm using an open source project called Solidus. It's a fork of Spree. It's a Ruby on Rails application, and basically it's a small e-commerce site that I'm building for a client in Boston. He's an embroidery company. So, initially, I guess in respect to like DigitalOcean and why I chose them, mostly it was because I was really familiar with them. Just from using their guides, they have a lot of great community guides in terms of like manually configuring Ubuntu and setting up load balancers and like really great stuff there. And then I decided to try them out, and the service has been pretty good so far. And I use a deployment tool called Cloud66. So I actually don't need to do all that configuration stuff, but it's a nice to know kind of thing. And the experience has been pretty good so far. I guess I would pull it up, but it's still in development, and I'd want the client's permission for that. So otherwise, everything's hosted on one droplet. It's a really small site right now. I decided to go with I think it was the $40 a month plan, which is more than enough. I think in New Relic, the app uses about 500 megabytes, so that's like more than enough to handle just a very small load. And I kind of like the features of using a VPS versus like a bare metal. It's kind of overkill. Also, the auto scaling features are nice, where you can like take snapshots and if demand does start to increase, you can very quickly build out your server. So some of those features are really nice. And I think that for small one-off projects with clients, it's a really good choice. Really easy to use. So cool. Any questions? Even though I didn't show you anything.
How long have you been using Gale?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been using DigitalOcean?
DigitalOcean's about. Well, I've had an account for a while now, but actually, like on a production server, 6 months, so not very long. And actually, I've never used it with high traffic, so obviously those are some concerns. But I think,
And have you used the API?
I haven't actually had to integrate with the API. The Cloud66 hooks into their API nicely. So it's kind of abstracted away from me in terms of like having to manage all that stuff. But I think that's kind of a nice feature that they have. Yeah.
You were mentioning a little about cost, right? So you said like something like $40 that you're paying them, right? Overall, like to maintain all of the different features in Cloud 66 and all these things, what's the like load balance that you're expecting for this e-commerce thing?
You mean the traffic?
Yeah, I mean just like for the traffic that you're expecting, how much you're thinking about expenditure, how much you're spending in money.
Oh yeah, I mean Cloud
Compared to everything else.
Cloud 66 is, I think there's a base rate of like 617 or something, and then if you want more, you can add additional for like $10 more per server, and you have a choice of VPS that you want to use. And then, you know, obviously, so you have that initial 17, but if you have a bunch of them applications, then the cost goes down a little bit. They have some load balancing stuff that they do and backups, but I think DigitalOcean also offers that, where you can write your own, so there's a lot of choices there. I use CloudFront for CDN. It's really low right now. The traffic is really low, so it's like pennies a month, or like, you know, $1. So it's really low, and then obviously the $40, and that's it. Yeah, I mean it's pretty straightforward, like $50, you know, 55, $60. So I think like for any you know, small company, it's like a really economical, easy choice. Kind of a hands-off approach to where if you wanted to kind of transition it to the client to manage with like another independent contractor, they could kind of jump in there very easily and get a grasp of it. So, cool. Any other questions? No? All right, cool. Nice to meet you all. Yeah.
Hey folks, my name's Alim, like an arm, a leg, a branch, that kind of thing. And I co-organized the Meteor meetup, Meteor NY. Meteor is a full stack JavaScript-based platform for building web and mobile applications. And some of you, I think, have been to our meetups. So, in any case, we're running as part of OpenCamp this summer. It's a 2-week open source conference. Meteor is going to have its own 2-day event happening there. It's given us 3 days. We're actually only going to be using the 9th and the 10th. And right now, our little website here is just a GitHub page. And when we put our volunteers together, people that wanted to work on this with us, they said, well, why don't we build this in Meteor? And in order to do that, we can't really just run it on GitHub because it's flat. So we need something else. And we have some really nice friends over here at DigitalOcean. They host our meetups, and we love DigitalOcean because they also have a really easy to use platform. So we're probably going to be moving this and all the related apps over to DigitalOcean very shortly. And what do we do with this? Well, first of all, it's basic event stuff. We collect email information from people so that they can register for either speaking or presenting or doing tutorials, or just showing up for the event itself at the United Nations, which is kind of a cool place. By the way, if you're interested, we had a meetup there last year, and it was awesome. I mean, to walk in to the General Assembly and to stand up and say "nyet, nyet," and take your shoe off and do stuff like that. It's a great venue, and when you walk in there, you realize you're not on American soil anymore. You're on international ground. It just gives you this whole sense of this place and the history behind it. So, if you guys are interested in showing up, we'd love to have you. If you're interested in helping us build this out, and you know JavaScript and you know Node, you don't necessarily have to know Meteor because Meteor is built on Node. We're more than happy to have additional people help out with it. But that's what we're going to be looking at. Actually, I've been playing around with the API because after we're done with this summer, we're going to go into setting this up for next year. This is our first year doing it. We've been invited for the first year to do this. And then it's going to be an ongoing thing, and we'd like to have additional resources One of the things I'd like to see is sort of a presence app where if you show up at the meetup and you're running the app on your phone, other people that are there can find you. And that will be, I think, a very cool thing. And by the way, you can build that very easily in Meteor, right? And when you have it running on DigitalOcean, you've got a great stack right there. So, one of the things that's making us think about going there versus Heroku, and we've built things on Heroku, I've built things on Heroku, is that Heroku puts you through some hoops in order to get your database running. Meteor includes Mongo as part of its default setup, but when you actually take it and put it on Heroku, you don't get that. You actually have to get Mongo instance, and they do it through Mongo Lab. And at the point where, even though it's free for like I think 500 megs for a Mongo Lab database, you have to pull out your credit card, and you're not paying for anything. It's still free, but you've got your credit card information in there. So my view is, if I'm going to take out my credit card, I might as well do it on a platform where I'm going to actually buy something at some point, right? So that's anyway, that's what we're about. That's what we're thinking about doing, and we'd love to hear any input you guys might have in terms of like what cool things developers or people that attend conferences would really like to see as part of an interactive application, so that it's not just a static informational site. It's something that's very useful. And by the way, we're probably going to be moving, and I think you know this, we record our own events. We do videos of our own events also, and we post that up on our Meetup webpage, and we have a YouTube channel and so on. And I think what we're doing is we're growing at this point, so we're going to try to evolve that into our own standalone website and mobile application that'll hook into the different resources that we have. And again, you need a more mature platform than what we're using, which is like nothing, to do that. So that's it. So if you guys have any questions for me, happy to answer them. That's us. Meteor is at 1.3. I build on 1.2 because I'm slow, right? And there's still a lot that's being figured out. And part of, I think, the talks that we're going to have are these transition talks about what's happening between 1.2 and 1.3. A lot of the platform changes in terms of how you use it. It becomes more node-centric. The elements that are part of the Meteor core have actually been sort of reduced into a smaller set, and some of the other stuff kind of spun out. And then you can do things like, you can do imports directly and natively, which you can't do before. With Meteor, you had to either use the npm hacks package, or you had to create your own package, wrap your node packages in them, and then use them in Meteor. So Meteor is trying to be part of this larger group, and for us that are in that space, one of the things that you got with Meteor was that it was very simple to build something from scratch. You could just put it together and get something up, and it lived in its own sort of walled garden. And so as long as you understood how to work in that walled garden, you were willing to work with it, it worked pretty well. When we start talking about like opening it up a little bigger, now it's not as simple, it's not as easy to use. And now actually what you're looking at are probably the more experienced developers that will have a clear understanding of how this all works, but the novice coming in, maybe the front-end developer that doesn't have a lot of back-end and middle-tier development experience, is going to have a hard time with it. But for now, with 1.3, you could still use the 1.2 paradigm and build applications. But the emphasis is on deprecating that and moving towards having a more node-centric worldview. Yes, Ash?
Are you part of like the Meteor team, or is this kind of like a project that you want to kind of increase the scope or the breadth of Meteor in terms of developers educating them about it?
So I use it. I'm not part of the MDG team. I'm just a guy that builds stuff with it, and many of us are just guys that think that there is some benefit from doing this. As much as, it's sort of in the same mode that DigitalOcean is, which is all this other stuff that you could do with AWS, all the stuff that you could do with bare metal is great, and it's customizable, and that's fantastic if you want to spend your time doing DevOps. But if you just want to get something done, then DO gives you a really good value add. And that's my view. Like I come from the, I was an engineer for 5 years, and then I've been on the product side. I've been an executive in different software companies. And my view is I want to build something and I want to get it out as quickly as possible. And Meteor is one of those. I looked at sales, I looked at a bunch of other platforms at the time, and Meteor was one of those things that allowed you to actually prototype, build something very useful off the cuff, and then actually take it and turn it into something production-wise useful. And you do have to architect and you do have to think deeper about your system once you get to the point where you start thinking about making it a production application. But you can get your vision out there much, much faster in much the same way that you could spin up a droplet and get an entire system in the box for you, available to you, very simply with the way DigitalOcean has it right now. So we find that these are very complementary technologies, and it's one of the reasons why I'm spending some time with AWS. As a matter of fact, to understand it, I'm taking a certification program, right? It's like, and so as somebody here has said before, it's like that if you're gonna use AWS. And it's one of those things where there's so many aspects to AWS that you don't know if you're missing out on a benefit because it's got this grocery store full of different options. And should I put my stuff on an EC2 instance, or should I put it on an Elastic Beanstalk, right? I mean, where should I put my stuff? How should I partition it? I don't want to think about that. I want to be able to just build something, get it out there, get my MVP in place, test it out with people, see how they respond, and then figure out if I have a business to build from there. And I think that's why Meteor appeals to me. That's why DigitalOcean appeals in that sense too. But in terms of what I'm trying to do, we have this thing. We're part of this large organization that is having this free open source conference that is available to everybody, in the developer community. And we're very specific, but there's a lot of other stuff happening there too. There's Node going on, there's Rails, there's GraphQL, there's Drupal. There's a lot of stuff. You can go on OpenCamp, and I'm not here to pitch OpenCamp. I'll pitch OpenCamp. It used to be called NYC Camp. Now it's called OpenCamp. And these are all the different technologies that are being represented at that 2-week event. So we're 2 days out of a 2-week event. As I said before, it's happening. It's being sponsored by the United Nations. And there's a lot of really cool stuff happening there. So, again, I'm talking about Meteor, but there's all this other stuff that's going on. So there's something for everyone. You can go register at OpenCamp. They have their own registration. We're going to have ours specific for Meteor, which is down at the bottom of the screen. And I think Meteor's cool. I hope if you guys have used it, I hope you think so too. And if you're thinking of using it, you should give it a try and see how that is. But we are, as I said before, the volunteer community that's involved in putting this out there and putting on these talks for all of you guys is always looking for help. We need, I spend a lot of my own time and I spend time away from my family. I could use some help in building things out here. So I'd love to have more people involved, especially people that care. Thanks a lot, guys. Anybody else have any questions? No? All right. Thank you.
So yeah, success@digitalocean.com, and what we do is we answer those types of questions. We get on calls with people. We explain how to either migrate their stuff over to DigitalOcean or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, after this, I think we'll have some time, just networking time, to answer any of those questions too. If there's any questions you want to tackle right now, we could probably answer for everybody too.
I think that the main problem for me is that I have to rebuild a bunch of that stuff. Like, most of the stuff that I build in AWS and in Parse, both together, was like, this is going to be easier to run, and I don't manage it. Some other stuff was analytic stuff that I couldn't do myself. Like, I don't want to rewrite like a whole library for this kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, that's great, as I'm building it. And now it's just horrible because it's like, it looks like a Frankenstein app. And you have to think about, like for example, just today, I was trying to manage to see how many users use each time of the day and what kind of user that is, and I just don't have that answer, right? So like I need to build more of a better infrastructure to answer those questions, because I think it tells a lot about the customers, quotation marks, that I have. So then I'm thinking I should rebuild this. And I'm thinking about rebuilding in something like PHP, which is something I develop in, and then just dropping in one of those, maybe basically just kind of on a droplet and that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm considering.
Sure.
And I'm trying to figure out literally like this week on how to figure out all of that. So yeah, and that's one of the reasons. I've actually met Kylie through digital design, like a podcast.
Oh yeah, Kaylee.
That's Kaylee. Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
And that's the reason.
I thought you read the product design.
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know if I have a great answer for you right here. That's a lot, but I think definitely we'd love to continue that conversation and whiteboard it out or talk about those things. Any other questions while we're still here?
Yeah, are you able to share some of the experiences that some of your customers have had in terms of the problems that you can solve as a best practice to others? So, for instance, as Kim was saying just now, it is Kim. Right? Yeah. Okay. As Kim was saying just now, he's got this sort of architecture
Yep.
and these limitations in terms of how you can actually pull data that he needs for analysis. And obviously, he's not the only one who's ever had this problem before.
Right.
You might have seen something like this before. Would you be able to kind of guide?
I have hundreds of examples. The question is, what's the right one to bring up? Jacob, do you have any quick thoughts on an example that you've seen recently?
No, I think that sounds a lot more like a sort of an application architecture sort of discussion rather than maybe a pure infrastructure question.
Sure. One of the things that maybe came up when we were talking with .io, he mentioned that we don't have a block storage feature yet.
Right.
That's one that actually comes up a lot, especially for large-scale users. So the solution there, and we're happy to talk with people about different solutions for storage or for other things. It really depends on what they're trying to do. But for example, maybe they have their app with DigitalOcean, but they're using S3 on AWS for object storage. They see a lot of bandwidth transfer costs moving stuff back and forth when it's hitting their stuff there. So one solution would be to build out their own object storage solution using a variety of different open source technologies on DigitalOcean nodes. And we help them work through those decisions on different things that they can do, because it really is simpler to do things, first of all, in one place, but also when there's not a whole grocery store of selections. You don't need a certification to understand how to use the platform.
Yeah. I was also curious, by the way, because you did mention some people using block storage or some other storage facilities, whether it's S3 or something else over on Amazon. Do you ever recommend sort of these hybrid setups?
Yeah, I think it really is a case-by-case thing. Like I said, we of course prefer people to do all of their stuff with DigitalOcean. That's how we stay in business. But in some cases, we work with people who are maybe only running one core part of their infrastructure with us, and the other parts are maybe with AWS or somewhere else. So we do see people with those hybrid solutions all the time. And so we do have to work with them on finding a creative solution to make the most of it and keep their costs down, but also have a good experience, have good latency, have good performance, all of that stuff too.
I have a few apps that run off pause, and pause is shutting down. I know Heroku has a run-quick deployment migration
Sure.
that is DigitalOcean providing.
So that's a great question for our community at large, but we actually, I don't think we have plans for a one-click image for parse, but we actually already have a community article tutorial that explains how you can migrate a parse application to DigitalOcean. So that might be something to look into.
Yeah, I know how to do that, but just, I'm simple on this one click.
Understood.
Apparently, there's been some discussion around it. I think that there's some networking issues, essentially like configuration and things that make it a little bit difficult to do a one-click, but it's being discussed.
Yeah, I think we've definitely looked into it. We recognize that as definitely an issue that came up. Definitely.
I feel like, just to comment on exactly this point, that the reason that I'm moving away from it, that I don't want to do any migration on the parse infrastructure,
Sure.
is because it looks extremely unreliable as you move to your own stuff compared to what they're doing in their service. Especially when it comes to requests. like the way that their infrastructure works, it just doesn't seem like it's going to be the same as if you move it to your own platform. Like the way that they deal with requests and everything else, the reliability and the way that the data gets, maintaining atomicity on their databases, for example, it looks like it's going to be a problem when you have to maintain it on by yourself. So it seems like it's much easier to just build something completely different. And that's, I think, maybe the other kind of concept seems better. Just try to build something on DigitalOcean, which is something I'm considering.
Yeah, for sure, that makes a lot of sense.
Just a question. In terms of data backup, I know you have some features in terms of like backing up the database.
Sure.
And I was wondering if there's like any plans to expand like the frequency of the backup and also like understanding how the backups are stored, if they're like offsite or not internally on the VPS.
Sure.
And like maybe if you have any plans for like I said, expanding that and maybe any other features that like you want to share with us.
Great question. So there are some huge improvements coming to our backup system very soon. Can't share any specific ETAs or anything like that, but one of the bigger requests that we've heard is more frequency, more flexibility, that kind of stuff. So definitely stay tuned for that, and that should be relatively soon in the next few months. So that's hopefully something that will be exciting. As far as like where they're stored, yeah, it's definitely stored on different hardware than the droplets themselves. Right now there's just some NAS units that they go to, and they're redundant, so your images are always safe. You're never in danger of losing your backups or snapshots just from a hardware failure.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? I think we're probably ready to do some mix and mingle.
Don't make it sound creepy.
Networking. Cool. All right then. I think we're good. Let's go. Thanks again for everyone that shared, and another round of applause for everybody that was here. .io already had to go, but.